The worst thing about family parties. You lose out on a holiday or weekend, and you can never escape them, even when you're an adult. Let's just break this down into a few reasons why family parties are the suckiest festivity to attend. First, if you are a college student, you will be picked apart by every single family member. It seems that no one ever talks to each other unless they're planning these shit parties. So every relative from young cousin to crotchety old grandparent will ask you, what school are you going to? And what is your major? And if you haven't chosen your major by then, you're boned. And of course, you've got the relatives who haven't gotten the memo that you've even graduated high school, so you have to endure the, oh, you've grown so much spiel. That's your introduction, what school you're going to and what major you're in. Now you've got to find who you fit in with. All the other college kids in your family are out of state and are able to evade this hell, or you have no college-age relatives. Rather than deal with the adults, you choose the youngsters. Except you have no way to relate to them. You're so steeped in depression and anxiety about life that you can't be squished into a tiny chair in front of a Thomas the Tank Engine table and be like, so, wanna talk about communism? At this point, you try to find some preteens. At least they have some concept of some sort of different economies. However, they're just as bad, if not worse, as kids. Where kids just care about being apart from adults and staying in their own element of yelling and smashing two toys together trying to fuse them, preteens try to be nothing but adult. They constantly brown-nose the adults and say stuff like, ugh, the other teens are partying, listening to terrible music, and they're on their phones all the time. I'm glad my parents raised me to be better than them, while swirling their apple juice like wine, which they aren't aware that they will become dependent upon around the age of 40. My child, trust me, being an adult means stress and becoming jaded. Enjoy your youth and don't be pretentious, you prepubescent lemur! You give up and sit by your lonesome and play Pokemon. At least your fur understands you. Then dinner comes. You've got your choice of rubbery green beans, cheese and soggy meat casserole, or one of the many pasta dishes bathed in tomatoes and balsamic vinegar. You sigh and reach for a roll, the only thing you can eat knowing it's safe. On your journey back to your shame corner at the adults' table, your aunt stops you and says something like, oh, you have so little on your plate, you should eat more. Yeah, well, maybe I would if the food you made was a complete shit, Aunt Karen. And it is around the dinner table that the shitstorm of the topic of politics comes up. You, as a young college student, know to keep your trap shut, because the adults will give you a pat on the head and say, this youngster knows nothing of the real world. You prefer to stay quiet and nibble on the roll you chose over Aunt Karen's shit casserole, while the adults are complaining about kids these days. Then, they decide to turn and attack you with questions again. This time they smile real big and nudge you in the side. When are you going to get a boyfriend? If you're gay, a distressed and nervous laugh will suffice as an answer. Then, if you manage to find one of those elusive boyfriends, they ask, when are you going to get a boyfriend we approve of? You may as well give up and live with the bears, where at least their family parties have edible meals. After dinner, dessert comes. There are cookies, brownies, and some jello dish, which your Uncle Nick probably bought after realizing that this freak show was today. There is always some freaking jello at every family party. All the youngsters snack the cookies, and the brownies taste like cat litter. You have to choose the godforsaken gelatin ooze, while shielding it from Grandpa Jim's hacking coughs. Afterwards, you are blessed enough to hear that you're going home. The relatives flood you, saying goodbye and wish you well. Once you squeeze out the door and climb into the car, you breathe a sigh of relief knowing you've survived another family party. Although, if Grandpa Jim's cough doesn't let up, you'll be going to a family party of a different kind.
Mommy always wins.
Jesus fuck, they have an army. Cameron, I don't really think that this is the kind of thing that anybody should be laughing about.
Cool it, Michaela. You're a prime example of why this city should okay abortions into the 30th trimester.